Welcome. You are listening to the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak show. The Suspense Files, covering the who, what, when, where, why in urban crime, covering thrillers, mysteries, cold cases, obsession, and more. I want to welcome you all for tuning in to tonight's episode on the Suspense Files. An altered state of mind. Here comes the crime. Worse, not better. This is the Speak Show, is where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Sister, spiritual inspiration shared through the arts. Sister, spiritual inspiration shared through Ayana. But you better call me Sister Speak. I would like to welcome my first-time listeners and my faithful listeners. Thank you so much for your downloads, your support, just everything. Thank you for moving this network forward. You are greatly appreciated. I mean that. Now listen, it is 9:26 p.m. Central Standard Time. I waited for everything to chill out so I could give you all the episode that you all deserve to listen to, because the Sister Speak show is the flavor in your ear. And I want to thank you for adding us. Excuse me for bumping the microphone, y'all. I want to thank you for adding the Sister Speak show to your podcast shuffle. It means so much to me. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into it. To my first time listeners, the Sister Speak Show Network is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. First and last warning. Put your seatbelt on. And you're going to need two things: water. You're going to need scuba gear. Water, because that is your healing power, your gasoline. It is the only way that you're going to be able to withstand the wiles of the enemy, especially when you are encountering spiritual warfare and attacks. Scuba gear, because we dive deep to leagues in the sea. We have just depth in this podcast, and this is a bold podcast. A self-contained underwater breathing apparatus is imperative for your journey with the Sister Speak Show Network and the episodes that we have. This is a bold podcast. I believe in the Most High God and Yah. I believe in the 12 tribes of Israel, and I believe in being pro-village. I believe in providing solutions for the pollutions, making sure that my brothers and sisters have a clear understanding that there is a panacea for any affliction that they are experiencing, whether it be mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and that we are warriors. And if you do not know that you're a warrior, we are here to provide you the encouragement that you need in order to mount up and be the warrior that you have been called to be, to stand in your power and to take back all of the energy that the enemy has tried to take from you. Now listen, we're going to go ahead and get into it, because this is a juicy, juicy, juicy episode. You never know what I'm going to say. You never know what the outcome of the episode is going to be, but you know that you're going to be listening to some good entertainment, not reckless entertainment. I stand on that, okay? We don't do reckless entertainment. We do good entertainment here. And this is, entertainment that you can, after you listen to the end of the episode, you're like, okay, that's what's up, that's what's up. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's get into it. Tonight's episode, an altered state of mind. Here comes the crime. Worse, not better. The clips that I have for us this evening are for fair use under the Fair Use Act of 1976 to raise awareness, to provide education for my brothers and sisters in the village about the do's and don'ts when it comes to marriage. And it is a forewarning. A forewarning. It's almost like a prophetic episode, okay? Where you need to have your eyes open, your ears cleaned out, and ready to listen to the jewels that are being shared this evening. It could save your life, literally. Literally, your life, somebody close to you's life. This is no joke. Since some people still celebrate holidays, they, with tomorrow being allegedly, February 14th, Valentine's Day, there's a lot of people that's going to be in their heads about relationships, trying to do the most, the least, just whatever to suffice for tomorrow. But there's a lot of fuckery that's going to be going on as well. And, when it comes to genuine love, I think that's what most people want. I think some people genuinely want genuine love, pure love, loyal love, love that does not hurt, does not betray, love that communicates in a proper way, love that is protective, love that is constantly growing in a progressive manner, right? Your soulmate, your divine spouse, the one. And you, most of the time, you expect to be using great judgment, right? Good judgment, discernment when it comes to being with this person who you feel should be your spouse. And it is healthy to not have an insecure defense when you are meeting someone new, to let the past be the past, to heal from the past, and to enter into a relationship healed. That is ideal. That is, being equally yoked. He's healed, she's healed. They can both come together and not attack each other, project to one another the traumas from the past that have not been addressed and healed. They're coming together, genuinely saying, I've done the work. Okay? That's the idea. That is the goal. That's biblical. It's spiritual. It's righteous. But there are some people who manipulate marriage, disrespect, defile marriage, and have no pure intention in seeing a matrimony be holy. And it isn't until after the exposure that the other spouse is left bewildered, befuddled, and just literally at a standstill in disbelief, because they never expected their spouse to be someone else. There are other situations where you have your marriage and your wedding and you're planning and you're expecting everything to go according to plan, and then tragedy strikes. The unexpected, whether it be through weather, whether it be through a jealous ex, a crazy family member, forgetting the rings, whether it's micro or macro, just not expecting the fuckery to occur on the wedding day. How you always hear this statement, this is my day, or, just all of that shit. And then when the slightest inch of anything that was not in the vision manifest, it's a whole meltdown, a breakdown. And you expect to go through a journey with this person, your spouse. You're not expecting it to end abruptly. You're not expecting it to take a left. It's supposed to go right. This is the one. This is the one. And tonight's episode shows the spectrum of tragedy that occurs. Originally, I was going to say, after Here Comes the Crime, it was going to be Buried Before Married, but as I was doing my research, I just ran across so many clips and I had to narrow it down, but I wanted to just show the unexpected. I wanted to show the mystery, the intrigue, the the unplanned and the planning. You know, there's a show where they called Bridezillas, and it shows just the the extreme side of planning a wedding and how a woman can be when it comes to a marriage and or getting ready to get married. And there's a lot that goes into, for some people, depending on your budget, there's a lot that goes into planning a wedding, the cost, so on and so forth. And getting to that day, it's just like by the time you get to that day, you're pooped based on some people's plans and some people's dreams of their dream wedding. And sometimes it just ends up being a nightmare wedding, a nightmare fiance, a nightmare wedding planner, a nightmare honeymoon. Okay? And it is dangerous to just marry somebody just to be marrying somebody, because marriage is sacred. It is a treasure. It is a gift. It is not to be fucked with. It is not to be played with. It is to be handled with caution and care. And yes, you have to go and get a marriage license. And there are some people who go get marriage counseling. But before you go get the marriage counseling, and there's nothing wrong with marriage counseling, it's just the work beforehand. Only the people, only you only know what your intentions are when it comes to wanting to get married, whether you want to or whether you don't. Okay, you know whether or not, or you think so, that this is the person. Some of you think the person you're with right now is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and so did some of these people on these clips. And it's just not. It's not to throw salt. It's not to be, to discourage you. It's really to say, before you get into this commitment, before you change your last name, before you move in, before you go down this road where you are partnering with somebody, seek the Most High God for the wisdom to discern if this is the one. Now look, there are some times where there are some people who can really, really put on a good act. And I apologize, you guys. I had to hit it on pause for a minute. There was some external noise passing by. But as I was saying, and I don't want to say I lost my train of thought, but I'm just going to start a thought, and if the other one comes to me, then I'll get on it. But it's just crucial. A lot of people have their own reasons why they want to get married and not want to get married, and you have to be very careful before you make that commitment. And after these clips, I think you'll understand why I'm saying this. It's one thing for you to have your own firsthand experience, but it's another thing to hear these news clips. It is crucial that you be careful who you decide to spend the rest of your life with. I mean that. It's not to deter you. It's not to scare you. It's to make you be wise, because your marriage is something that you have to protect, and it is something that is so beautiful when it is upright, when it is righteous, and when it's vibrating high. But these particular individuals that we're covering tonight, the news topics vary, as I aforementioned, and we're going to get into it. Crime is real. And when I titled it Here Comes the Crime, I meant it just like that. Because it's more than just the rings, it's more than just the gown, it's more than just the bridal party, it's more than just the photo shoot. It's more than that, okay? And a lot of people, if we just be real, are not yet ready to be married. And there are some people who are married that should not be. And there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of adultery that is taking place in these marriages, and a lot of defilement. And even in the courtship process, several red flags, but don't want to let go. And you never know who is literally batshit crazy. And sometimes you just don't know. Like I mentioned, like the masquerading is so real, okay? And then there's, like I said, other just tragedies that strike where it's like, wow, we need to really, really, really be careful about how far we're willing to go to have our dream wedding, okay? I'll be right back, brothers and sisters, after these commercial breaks.
The season of you being prey has come to an end. Family, friend, foe versus your freedom. What are you going to choose? The latest episode of the Vent Session on the Sister Speak Show is available on demand now. Episode 2, Stop Being Weak. We're covering haters in your life. Why are they howling at you? Car chases. Let me out the car. This doesn't taste good. Where's the original recipe? Protecting adulterers. Why are your people scanless? Rent, utility, and food relief. Learning how to ask for help and people who don't help. The Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Click the link for the latest episode. Warriors, mount up.
The Praying Pastor. Demonic activity, murder, and ministry on the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak Show is available on demand now. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas.
When it comes to being a rap lyricist, what sets you apart is your ability to be able to freestyle on demand. If you can't freestyle, you can't rap. The latest episode of the Tour on the Sister Speak Show is available on demand now. In this episode, beatdowns versus bars, when freestyle battles turn violent. Rated R for strong content and language. On the tour, we cover all aspects of the music industry, focusing on musicians, managers, songwriters, producers, music groups, DJs, with exclusive music as well as concert reviews and IG Live concerts and interviews. On the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Go ahead and click the link for the latest episode.
What's the point of putting on a bonnet if it's not going to stay on my head? I'm tired of it slipping off and waking up to it the next day. There has to be a better bonnet for me that's stylish and stays on. Oh, child. Ooh, it's the pillow for me. I'm just going to have to sleep pretty. This last shift took me all the way out.
I'm going to get a bonnet tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm going to ask Mommy if I can get one for my bear, too. Just as soon as I wake up from my nap.
It's time to sleep pretty and protected with these stylish Mommy and Me bonnets available now at kklachey.com. These Mommy and Me bonnets are available in stock and ready for you to maintain your crown. KK Lachey is a look, feel, and vibe. You're able to shop these products and more when you go to the website. It's time to shop and chill with kklachey.com.
Baby.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak show, covering the who, what, when, where, why, and urban crime. Tonight's episode, an altered state of mind. Here comes the crime. Worse, not better. I thank you all for being a wonderful listening audience. We're going to go ahead and get into these clips for fair use to raise awareness about the perils of dangerously dating without proving whomever you are with. Realizing that jumping the broom is a process, and that if you jump the broom with a false start, there's no telling where you can land. I am encouraging you all to listen with intention. Listen intentionally so you can gain the wisdom. Because if you are honest, just like I'm honest, we have gotten out of relationships that we had no business being in. And at the time, we thought that this was the one. So we can see how somebody can be deceived. But that's why it's so important to heal, so you can be a high vibration, so you can withstand the tricks of the enemy. Because to destroy is the mission. And one thing that he loves to do is to love bomb. Okay? To make you get all giddy and off course, so you'll be more susceptible to the destruction, to break you down. You don't want that to happen. To get you off course with the love bombing. Hear me. To give you everything that you've never had. And the next thing you know, you feel like this is somebody who you could spend the rest of your life with. And now your life is in danger. That's just one aspect of these clips. You could plan something, think that everything is going to go one way, and the next thing you know, a disaster strikes. Let's get into it, brothers and sisters. I thank you for being a wonderful listening audience. You're my favorite listening audience. I really appreciate you all in totality. I'll see you on the other side of these clips.
Confronted two people who weren't invited to his wedding reception and paid for that with his life. KCAL 9's Leslie Maring is live in Chino, where she talked to the grieving bride. Leslie?
Well, now, brave is the best way I can describe Esther Melgoza. She went from wife to widow the exact same day. Now, we did sit down with her today. She tells us neither she, her family, nor Joe Melgoza, her husband, had ever seen these suspects until her wedding day.
I was happy, even though he didn't know how to dance. He was so nervous to dance, but he did it.
There are so many moments at Joe and Esther Melgoza's wedding that she will remember, but how happy her husband was, that is her favorite memory.
And you could see it in his face, how happy he was. Just the way he looked at me all day.
Tragically, as the wedding was wrapping up around 2 a.m. Sunday morning, police say two uninvited guests identified as brothers Roni and Josue Castaneda Ramirez arrived at the reception in Chino. Witnesses say when they were asked to leave, the two men began to fight with several family members, including the groom, who chased after the suspects. Investigators say Joe was eventually found a short distance away, beaten and suffering from a head injury.
And I still can't believe it. Why would anybody do that?
Being your little brother was the biggest honor I've had in my life, bro. I just can't believe you're gone, man.
Melgoza's family says at just 30 years old, Joe was a loving father to his 11-year-old daughter Lily and also helped raise his younger siblings.
Always there for me no matter what. Anytime I needed something, he loved me so much, man.
But as Melgoza's family is trying to understand why such a magical night ended so tragically, Esther, the bride, is thanking her husband for the time they did get to spend together.
He taught me to be brave. Thanks to him, I became a wife. Thanks to him, I became a mother.
Now, as for those two suspects, we know both pleaded not guilty today in court. Joe's family has set up a GoFundMe. They say the expenses will go towards funding his daughter as well as funeral expenses.
You know, it is really interesting to me because when I watch the clips, I'm seeing the videos, you're listening to it, not a tear. I hear the crying and I'm watching them. I didn't see a tear. Not a tear. It looked almost forced, allegedly. She did not drop one tear. There was no sense of serious heartbreak. Of course, counter argument. Sister Speak, everybody grieves differently. Yes, but there is a common sense of pain, devastation, and a sense of despair and grief that is supposed to also manifest. And she did not give me a grieving widow. This specific crime gives me, there's more to it than just these two random people coming, these random men coming to a wedding, sitting there, they're uninvited, and a chase pursues, the groom chases them, and then they end up beating him to death. He was the only one to chase. This is a wedding. This is a wedding party, allegedly. Like, so you mean to tell me there's two uninvited guests, they're both men, and I know there are men at this party, this wedding. Why wasn't there a group of men to escort these men out? Why didn't anybody call the police? Did they know these men? What was the relationship with the bride? Something is really off about this. This doesn't seem like just a regular old natural tragedy. This seems like there is something else going on, because I'm just looking for tears. I know that if I am on my wedding day and an uninvited guest comes and my husband decides to go and, make that spontaneous decision and he ends up losing his life, I'm going to be devastated. But for me, I'm just not going to sit back and let that happen. Like, I would really like to think that I would have my wedding be secure, to where the booger wolves can't even infiltrate, that nothing like that can happen, just well planning. But like I said, it seems like there might be something else that was going on, because I just didn't see any tears, and that really, really alarms me seriously.
Reporting live, Leslie Medine, KCAL 9 News.
Only tragic.
More this evening about what sparked that deadly school shooting in San Bernardino, California. A husband killing his estranged wife in her classroom. More than 500 elementary school children holding hands there as they were rushed away from the building. We've now learned one little boy was also killed. He was near his teacher when her husband opened fire. ABC's Kana Whitworth tonight on why the office workers might have been comfortable allowing that husband to check in and then head to the classroom.
Tonight, a community in mourning over the loss of a beloved student and teacher.
She was a good teacher.
She was nice and she would help people that would need help.
Questions mounting about what led to Monday's hail of gunfire. Authorities saying Cedric Anderson targeted his estranged wife, Karen Smith, while she was teaching.
I'm sure it was absolutely terrifying for the kids that were in there.
Two boys caught in the crossfire before Anderson turned the gun on himself. 8-year-old Jonathan Martinez did not survive. Family and friends tonight remembering a vibrant, joyful boy. Authorities trying to determine how the seemingly happy couple unraveled. Anderson posting these videos on Facebook just weeks ago.
She is making me really happy. She knows when to ignore me. Well, it makes a happy marriage.
But tonight, authorities probing Anderson's dark past, including multiple arrests for weapons and domestic violence charges. But he was never convicted. Karen Smith's mother tells ABC News after the pair wed just over 2 months ago, Anderson revealed a darker side.
My husband and I decided you need to get away from him. He is not the kind of person you thought he was.
Smith was living with her adult children after leaving him a few weeks ago. She never informed the school of marital problems.
It appears that he had been making efforts to contact her and to have her come back home, and she was resistant to that.
David, authorities searched the suspect's home where they uncovered a note he wrote that talked about things in his life that needed closure and feeling disrespected. David?
Kana Whitworth on the scene for us again tonight.
This is the part where it is important nowadays with technology to do background checks and to be careful with whom you are dating. It is frightening to be teaching and to have your husband, who is already gone, mentally just not stable, in his mind premeditate that this is the day that if I can't have my way, I'm going to show you that I'm going to have my way. I'm going to force my way upon you, and I'm going to come to where you're valued, where people see you in a good light, and I am going to traumatize everybody because I am imbalanced. I am possessed. I have a wicked spirit in me. I am not who I masquerade to be. I am a serial husband. I'm on the run, both physically and spiritually. This is not my first go round, but you have no idea because I'm good at what I do, and I haven't been caught so far. And instead of facing the penalty, facing the judgment for the crime, you take yourself out, or you go and not only you take out your wife, but then you're killing a student, young children, but you didn't care. And she left because of the energy. You have to be very brave when you decide to leave, because I don't think people really understand, like, to leave. It's easy to get involved, but it's hard leaving. And you have to be very careful when you're dealing with somebody who will kill you, who has shown you that they will kill you, who has flipped the script and inside of the house become a maniac. No, you just don't say, hey, I'm leaving. No, it's a process. And sadly enough, the process doesn't always come to completion. And you don't want to have to, excuse me, alter your life, your steps. You don't want this person to dominate your every move and hinder you from being able to enjoy your liberties in the pursuit of happiness, yet and still. And so you try to go about your routine, but in the back of your mind, you would never think that he would come here where there's children and do that. And that's exactly what he did. The unexpected. It is the worst. It is the worst. It is amplified because you should not be terrified of your spouse. You should not have to be on eggshells, pins and needles. You shouldn't, even though we're grateful that these programs and services exist, but you shouldn't even have to pick up the phone and call 911 on your husband or your wife. Ever. Only if there's a situation where they naturally need the ambulance. But to have to call the 911 on your spouse, I mean, who gets married to do that? And he has a history, a background of being a maniac. And he took it upon himself to say, I will not be disrespected, but I will disrespect you. And that's the fuckery. That's the fuckery, that the entrapment, the prison inside of a prison inside of a prison that many people at this very moment are in. This is not a situation where, oh, maybe down the line. No, we're talking about in this very moment, as you and I are inhaling and exhaling, there are people in peril in their marriages. They are hostage. They want to escape. They are being beaten. They are being abused. They have given up their financial independence only to be neglected. And you have a right to want to leave, but they don't want to let you go. And so the plots and the plans to end everything and everybody, and you won't disrespect me even though I am full of disrespect, the hypocrisy of their energy. You and I can't afford to get entangled with anyone who 2 months down the line, 2 years, or any time to come to our job or home or when we're out and about and end our lives. And this is our spouse. You cannot even, excuse me, think for a second, even if you're married right now, of having to deal with that. But maybe are you in a relationship like this woman who lost her life while teaching?
Thanks for joining us. New details being released in a domestic disturbance turned deadly.
Now, we must warn you, some of the details in this case are very graphic. It was in the early morning hours on Sunday that a couple was found dead inside their eastern Vigo County home. News 10's Lindsay Yates has been following this case for you and brings us the very latest in tonight's top story.
A tragic series of events that took place here at 4025 North Creel Street in what appeared to be a murder-suicide. Sources tell us that the couple was married on Saturday, less than 24 hours before both were found dead.
911, that is the emergency.
Help me, 4205 North Creel, please.
What's the address?
4205 North Creel.
Okay, what's going on there?
Please.
Who is?
My husband.
What's his name?
Scott Sampson. He's got
Scott
guns
what?
in there.
The 911 recording depicts the events that unraveled inside this home in the early morning hours. It was around 1:20 a.m. on Sunday. Kelly Ecker Sampson dialed 911, frantically claiming that her husband threatened to kill her.
Phone call went dead in a short amount of time. Dispatchers immediately dispatched deputies to the scene.
Minutes later, Kelly calls back.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
4205 North Creel.
Okay, 4205 North Creel. 4025 North Creel. Hello? Hello?
Sheriff's deputies would arrive to find Kelly dead as a result of gunshot wounds to the chest and neck.
Deputies did find the female victim inside the child's bedroom, deceased.
An elderly couple and Kelly's 10-year-old son were safely removed.
The female's husband, Scott Sampson, had retreated to the basement.
With guns and multiple rounds of ammunition. That's when the special response team was called in.
The remote camera was able to determine that Scott Sampson was in the basement, unresponsive.
Sampson died of a single gunshot wound to the head just hours after they exchanged wedding vows. Reception tent still in the front yard.
Shortly after the last guest left, things went terribly wrong.
Dr. George Sampson is listed as an anesthesiologist at Union Hospital. News 10 reached out to the hospital and they have declined to comment. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you more information as it becomes available. Reporting in Vigo County, I'm Lindsay Yates, News 10.
First of all, you need to fire the second dispatcher. And this is the fuckery that I have a problem with. I'm grateful for 911 when it is operating in a high vibration. But for me, I need you to speed up your concern. I need you to get on it. I need you to act like you care. Because you sounded like you had nothing to do. You sounded like this was just a oh well situation, and you were not really as empathetic in expediting the conversation. Hello, what's the address? Like, bench, like, for real, like, she almost got called something else. Like, that's the problem. Like, it's a matter of life and death. Get your ass over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the address? Like, this is the second time I'm calling. The fuck you mean? Don't you have it in the computer? And the sad thing is, on the wedding day, 2 hours after, he went ballistic. And this is what I'm talking about. He went ballistic, y'all. And then he took the coward way out. Took his life. Couldn't even face the repercussions for the destruction. Just, it's just really not fair in a killer's mind to know what you're going to do. And then it's just like, here is a group of people who have no idea that you are a predator, that there is a crime that's coming after the vows, after the kiss. Can you imagine? Here you are saying, I do, your vows, and the preacher says you may now kiss the bride, and you're kissing your killer, and you have no idea. People are clapping, elated, a joyous occasion, allegedly. But no, on the other side of that kiss, of that alleged Ten of Cups, which is really the Ten of Cups in reverse, is a tower moment that is, it is coming soon. And for what?
The sheriff's office is currently taking inventory of Sampson's guns collection. He is registered as a federal licensed dealer.
The community has been hit hard by a recent string of deadly acts being tied to domestic violence. The most recent in Siena, Fort Bend County. A man shot and killed, investigators say, by his girlfriend's ex-husband. Channel 2's Taisha Walker live in that neighborhood tonight. Taisha, you have learned that there were domestic violence calls to deputies involving this couple before. Is that right?
That is correct, Dominique, and I'll get to that in a second. But the family of the man who was murdered in the Siena neighborhood just yesterday by his girlfriend's ex-husband say they recently warned him to end that relationship. Now that family is currently en route from the West Coast, from the East Coast, from Washington, D.C. to Texas to take his body back home.
I can't believe it.
Marlene Hurt-Ecom says she hasn't slept in the last 24 hours.
What was he thinking? At that moment when he got the first bullet.
Her 28-year-old nephew, Martez Hurt, was gunned down in his car Monday morning outside of his girlfriend's Siena home by her ex-husband. 32-year-old Matthew Jacobs has been charged with Hurt's murder. This past March, Fort Bend County deputies received 3 domestic violence calls concerning Jacobs and his ex-wife.
When he told me that the guy followed him to his house, he said, Mommy, he know where I live at. I said, Montez, you need to leave the girl alone.
Hurt-Ecom says her nephew promised her last week that he would leave. Tragically, it wasn't soon enough. He posted on social media yesterday morning, quote, "You deserve all good things life has to offer. Less than an hour later, he was dead.
It is dangerous when you leave. You're right to be scared, but we are here to help.
The Fort Bend Women's Center is the only domestic violence resource in the county. They've helped nearly 700 survivors year to date.
Once the stay-at-home order was lifted, survivors were able to get more access to phones where they could talk privately and were able to call for help.
In Harris County, domestic violence-related deaths are up. There have been 24 deaths compared to 17 in 2019.
He owed us that.
Hurt Ecom says she's traveling to Texas to bring her nephew's body back to his native D.C. If she could speak to Jacobs, she says she would ask why.
He owed us an explanation. You gonna go out there and walk to his car and shoot him up like that?
Hurt's family has started a GoFundMe account to assist with funeral arrangements. It has already been widely shared here in Siena. If you would like to help, we'll include that link on our website, as well as resources for domestic violence survivors. Reporting live in Siena and Fort Bend County, Taisha Walker, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Yeah, one day after his son's wedding, a Serbian man shot dead his new daughter-in-law, his own wife and both women's parents before killing himself with his hunting rifle on Sunday, police said. Disrupted family relations caused a big tragedy in the village of Martonos, near Kanjiza, in which 7 people lost their lives on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., said the statement quoted by the state news agency Tanjug. The village is about 185 kilometers, 115 miles, north of Belgrade. Police said an investigation was underway and gave no further details. Tanjug quoted sources as saying that Raid Sefer, 55, had a license for the hunting rifle he used in the killings.
A mother of 3 was allegedly murdered by her 40-year-old husband, Matram Lal, in front of her 3 children and mother. Dead is 34-year-old Bibi Shabina Ali. She was killed at 12 a.m. this morning at her home in Crane, West Coast Zanara. Headline News was at the scene and spoke to the deceased woman's mother. She claimed that her daughter shared a 20-year abusive relationship with a man since she was 14 years old.
You leave she alone with the children them. Never take part with her in them graduation, in them kindergarten, school, nothing. You always leave she. He always left she and go. When he do come back, he tormenting her and say how she got man. And he go kill she. And she leave and she go away. That is November month.
Where did she go?
She go by her sister. He start to cry and he start to beg me that how let she come back home. That he never torment she, he never do she nothing. That he and she go live good. He married she since she was 14 years. And now she started 4 years.
She regrets the decision to let her daughter return home to her abusive husband. Prasad then recounted the last time she last saw her daughter alive.
Last night, them 2 was talking good with the big grandson. They was talking, my big grandson, and then I just hear that she said, Mommy, I'm going to sleep. I said that may I not shut. So I get up and I drink a sleeping tablet and I go back and lie down on the bed and my eyes shut. Wait. But in this sleep, I hear when she say that I want to sleep and stop molesting me. That I want to sleep. And so she say he still may know what he's doing, honestly, but she still say I want to sleep. I got to go to work. And you go there home whole day and you go sleep. And me I shut and me no know nothing. Me just hear 12 o'clock. I hear that she squeal and say, Mommy, Mommy. And by time that my grandson and me run out from the room. And when we run out, we see she run and come straight to my bedroom door and she fall down. When she fall down, I see the blood on her. But before I make a rent assistant to her. I tell my grandchildren to see their mother, and I approach him. And when I approach him, he had the knife in his hand. And when he had the knife in his hand, he watching me with the knife. And I go on my knees and I beg him to give me the knife. And he don't want to give me the knife. He turned back to go on my big grandson. And I start to beg him and hold his foot and start to cry. Give me the knife. And then I take the knife from his hand. And when I take the knife from his hand, I say, Reach. I call he Reach. I say, Reach, go outside, let me look after my daughter. He said, leave her right there and don't squeal and don't call for no neighbors.
Trying to save her daughter's life, Prasad was able to call the neighbors to render assistance. Ali was taken to the West Danara hospital, where she was pronounced dead on arrival. After committing the act, Lal drank a poisonous substance and was subsequently arrested, where he is currently under police guard at a hospital. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
My question would be this. If you don't want your spouse why do you keep them around? If you are physically harming your spouse, tormenting, making it absolutely impossible to live around you, if you're belligerent, demonic, unhealed, why would you think that any good can come from those type of spirits, unhealed? I don't understand why people get into relationships with people that they ultimately do not want, and then you torture them in that relationship. You dominate them with your fist, with your words, with your infidelities, with your bullshit, with your narcissistic personality disorder, with you being an agent for the devil. Why do you stay around? Why do you go and pick somebody, pursue somebody, only to fuck their life up, to hurt them, to harm them? To have your fucking way with them? What do you use as a point of reference to justify that behavior? All over the world, domestic violence in marriage is real. And it is tragic. A knife, to be stabbed with a knife, that is a crime of passion. He said, leave her right there. Didn't even want her to receive any help, and this woman has gave birth to your children. But none of that clicks. Nothing is connected in the brain. You need to understand that. Many outlets, nothing is plugged in.
Tragic accident at a wedding in California where a tree came crashing down as the wedding party posed for photos, killing one person, injuring at least 5. ABC's Kana Whitworth has the story.
This morning, a woman killed and a child in critical condition after this giant tree came crashing down on top of them at a wedding party.
We just watched some little kids go flat under that tree. It's crazy. They were just running for their life.
Moments before tragedy struck, the group was celebrating, taking wedding photos underneath a 100-foot tall eucalyptus tree. But with no warning, it topples down.
There's this wedding party, and they're taking pictures under this tree, and all of a sudden just collapsed.
Several family members trapped underneath the tree, police and firefighters scrambling to rescue victims.
Respond to the person's trapped incident.
Emergency crews using chainsaws to cut away heavy branches while members of the wedding party waited and prayed. One victim receiving CPR on the scene.
It was this lady with this little baby, and I didn't know what to do.
A girl now fighting for her life, suffering from a serious head injury. Officials now investigating what caused the tree to fall, saying California's long-term drought followed by heavy rains may have affected the tree's health.
We've seen this happen throughout Southern California with both the drought conditions, that trees are stressed, and then as noted is that we did have a large amount of rain. So there's some reason that tree failed.
Now, I want to show you that tree there. It's right there behind me, and you can see that authorities have cut off all the branches, and that debris field covers a half acre. It would have been hard for anyone to escape. They plan on bringing out an arborist in the next day or two to investigate. George?
Oh, so sad. Okay, Kana, thanks very much.
Highway Patrol says there were 5 fatal crashes over the weekend with 6 deaths. Kelly Vaughn joining us live tonight with why they're begging all of us to think of these deaths as more than just numbers and statistics. Kelly?
Right, they said we can all get a little numb, you know, when we hear these reports of the number of people killed in car crashes. And they said we simply just cannot do that. And this past weekend was well out of the norm. I spoke with one UHP major. He says in his 21 years, he has never seen this many crash fatalities packed into one weekend. Now, there's no simple answer as to why there were so many deadly crashes this weekend. Some were distracted drivers, 2 involved drunk drivers, like that wreck that killed 26-year-old Angelica Dundup as she was leaving her wedding reception. Now, a drunk driver in that case was driving the wrong way down I-15 and crashed into her car doing freeway speeds. Angelica's niece, Mari, was in the car as well. She survived the crash, but their family is not okay.
Physically, I'm just mentally, I don't think any of us are okay. But I think that night just traumatized me.
Times this story by 6. There are families that are struggling today because of what happened, because of minute errors that people have made, and some pretty big ones too.
That's Major Jeff Nyber. He's the assistant to the superintendent of Utah Highway Patrol. He says this past weekend, it was also intense for first responders, saying the officers that responded to these crashes are really struggling with what they've seen. They've had mental health help for the officers, but what they really need is help from the public. They say we cannot drink and drive. We cannot drive distracted or drive aggressive, and we always need to wear our seatbelts. Now, he says we are nearing the end of the 100 deadliest days of summers when those crashes grow up. That ends over Labor Day. And he says this is just not the way to end it. He says before you get in your car, you need to remember the responsibility there, and that these deaths, these statistics, these numbers we're giving you, they're real people with real families. And this could happen to your family more often than people think. Reporting live from Salt Lake City, Kelly Vaughn for 2 News.
You just took playing That's My Car to a whole nother level. The latest episode of the Tour on the Sister Speak show is available on demand now. Rated R for strong content, language, and thoughts on this episode. Jackin' for more than beats. The effects of GTA and rap music. Confessing to crimes over beats. Lyrics leading to arrest. On the tour, we're covering all aspects of the music industry, including interviews with musicians, managers, songwriters, producers, music groups, DJs, and exclusive music and concert reviews. Either you're playing the video game or the video game is playing you. Click the link for the latest episode on the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Be careful. Brotherhood, sisterhood, leadership. Those are the qualities that you were looking for when you were joining, not humiliation. The latest episode of The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak show is available on demand now. Rated R for strong content, language, and thoughts on this episode. Death before degree, hazing in fraternities and sororities. On The Culture Climate, we're covering what others are afraid to cover in the village, including controversial conversations, taboo subject matters, addressing the inner me's, exposing the enemies, interviews, audio from video clips, international, national, local news affecting the village. Click the link for the latest episode on the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Remember, you don't have to die to belong. There won't be any more warnings. That's why your heart is beating fast. He's out there again. You can see him from the stage. He's obsessed with you. That's why he's taking your pictures. You're his fantasy. The latest episode of the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak show is available on demand now. Rated R for strong content, language, and thoughts on this episode. Fantasies and felonies. Strip club killers. On the Suspense Files, we cover the who, what, when, where, why in urban crime, including crimes of passion, deadly relationships, mysteries, urban cold cases, and more. Click the link for the latest episode of the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Be careful. Try not to fall in love with a stripper. You've made it to the last part of the test, the season of drought, and you survived. You're going to pass this test. You're going to climb the mountain, because on the other side of the mountain is peace, joy, tranquility, harmony, freedom. No longer are you going to have to be frustrated, wondering when is it going to happen? When is my breakthrough going to come? When is what I believe in going to manifest? How long do I have to sit here in hermit mode? How long do I have to sit here and pretend? Not much longer. You might as well go ahead and start getting your praise on now, because permanent overflow is coming. You're closer to it than you think. Welcome back. You are listening to the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak show. I'm your host, Sister Speak. How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? We're about to get into this, and then we're going to go ahead and end this show. Look, the whole point of this podcast is to encourage you, to raise awareness, to have you understand that you are not to stay in a low vibration, that you need to be in a high vibration, that discernment is your friend, and that you cannot afford to put yourself in any type of partnership with someone who you really do not know. You can't afford to ignore the red flags, and you can't afford to ignore signs. Some people really probably don't want to hear what I'm about to say, but it needs to be said. Some unions are not supposed to come together. There are some people who are really blind when it comes to the prerequisites that create a marriage. And there's just some people who are together that just are not supposed to be together. Period, point blank. Just not supposed to be together. You're not the one. They're not the one. That's just it. Just the two parties were not supposed to come together. They come together. And tragedy manifests. It just happens all the time. And I'm not making light of the situation, but I'm just saying that the tragedies that we listen to tonight, or whenever you're listening to this episode, it's jaw dropping. You don't expect on your wedding day for somebody to come in, an in-law who's been harboring a grudge or, whatever, and shoot up the wedding. You don't. That's not in the forecast, okay? And so for it to happen, that is traumatizing. You're not expecting to go on a helicopter ride, and no, you didn't hear this clip, but you're not expecting to go on a helicopter ride after getting married and the helicopter crash. These are tragic stories, and there are so many out there of incidents that occurred, to where all that was supposed to be marital bliss just never manifested. And I was thinking about that tree that fell. They were dancing, they were celebrating, and a eucalyptus tree out of all days. That tree has been standing tall for years, centuries, and it fell on that day, at that wedding, at that time. Nothing is by accident. So, you have to say to yourself, why did that tree fall outside of the circumstances of, it being a tree, it being old, trees fall. But what was it about this? It could be nothing and it could be something. But I know that the Most High God, when He does not want two people to be together that have come together, He doesn't make it an amusement park. He makes it, there's a lot of things that happen to where it's not cool. The energy in the home, the bond, the union, it's all fucked up. And when the weather is off, when there are fighting, family members, when there's all of this bad energy going on. And I'm not saying that, the weather is bad energy, but I'm just saying that most people, for their weddings, they want a sunny day. I don't think anybody says, hey, I want to get married in the middle of a typhoon. No, seriously, no. The volcano? Yeah, I'd love to have my wedding in a volcano. Who wouldn't? Nobody's asking for their wedding to be, the location to be in the midst of danger. So when a danger does happen, it's like WTF, right? And the tree crushed a young boy and a woman, injuring other people. That, to witness that, to see that, to be able to do nothing about it because you're trying not to get hit by the tree as well. We're talking about 100 feet. I think it was 100 years old, 100 feet. Anyway, we're talking about a big tree. This wasn't any, small tree, you guys. This tree is huge. So it's powerful, the impact. And it is a day that nobody will ever forget. And do you have an anniversary after that? Do you say this is the day we got married? Knowing that, hey, on this day, 2 lives were lost on our wedding day that we planned together. And then you're having to deal with the guilt of it and just all this whole processing of what the fuck happened that day and why did it happen? Are we cursed? Spiritually, what did this mean? It is the Most High God's planning that two people come together. And in some countries, there are arranged marriages where there are other logistics that create the union. And in the Western world, for the most part, you have free reign of who you're going to be coupled up with. And everybody has their own process, it seems. But it is who the Lord brings together that it lasts, that the union stays together. And because the Lord has created these people, he knows more than you and I know about these people. That's why I said discernment is real. And when two families are merging, it's either going to go left or it's going to go right. And the last thing that the two people who are getting married want is to have to deal with feuding family members. And there are family members who overstep their boundaries. And then there are family members who are literally trying to throw out a lifeline, a life raft, to save their loved one from tragedy. So that's the balance of the energy. And with the gift of discernment, you'll be able to know, if your family is hating or not. Okay? And when you are entangled with someone who is fresh off of a divorce, if that divorce did not end well, if there was a lot of tension, a lot of fuckery, a lot of chaos, then it's kind of like enter at your own risk trying to be involved with this person that's, newly single. And I have learned through even personal experience that it is the best thing to heal before you get involved in another relationship once you have divorced. You should really, if someone grants you with the information to know that they're married or separated rather, or, recently divorced and it was kind of chaotic, if they're going to grant you that information, then it gives you the opportunity to, get the fuck up out of there real quick. But then there are some people who like a challenge. I'm not saying that that was the case with this young man who lost his life. I'm just speaking about, generalities here. There's some people who don't want to let go. They like it. It's a challenge. I'm okay. Fuck him, fuck her. It's all about us. You know what I mean? If he or she knew what they had, then they wouldn't have fucked up. It's a lot of blame shifting, a lot of triangulation, a lot of unbalanced, unhealed energy. And when it's a volatile relationship and you have divorced because it's a volatile relationship, you really have to be careful who you bring into your energy, because it's not fair for them to have to be, running for their life because your ex is batshit crazy. It's not fair. It's not just about you. If it were, you would have been the only one created. So you can't just sit there and be selfish and neglect to tell the third party or the new person coming into the situation vital information that could save his or her life. By the way, my ex is crazy. Okay, is this, we're 5 dates in. Is that what those headlights were about? Okay, so my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. If you withhold information, that's fucked up. You're my little secret, and that's how we should keep it. Now, that shit is out the window. What's going on? Because I don't want to be blindsided by your mess. It's not fair to me. Your baggage. It shouldn't be that every time we go on a date, you ask me to pop the trunk and I got to put your baggage in my trunk. No, that's fucked up. I understand you are enjoying your emancipation and, you didn't have a divorce party, but no, you're going about it the wrong way, because this is not reality TV. This shit is really happening in real time. This is actually happening. And you are actually putting me in danger when you fail to tell me about your crazy ass ex. That's just some cases. Sometimes they do say, "Hey, I just want you to know, my ex, but don't try to water it down. Keep it 100. What the fuck is going on with your ex? I need to know, because I have the right to say, you and I, this ain't going to work. Because what you're not going to do is put me in a position where I'm fighting for no fucking reason. And some love the fucking attention, and you need to get that shit together, because you are an accessory to murder indirectly by being so insecure and by being flattered by this pursuit for your love or your lust, or you're busting it wide open. This is not a game. I don't, you really need to understand that you're playing with fucking hellfire when you try to pit two men against each other, two alpha men against each other at that. That shit ain't cool. And some of you sisters, just some, and some sisters rather, choose to, play that game of, I want attention. I want to see how far you'll go to prove your love for me. If you love me, you'll fight for me. And it's a wicked ass game. It's not always just the man who is the aggressor. Both parties can be antagonists. Both parties can be fucked up. Because the family is saying, leave this girl alone. If you reach out to your family and you say, I'm being fucked with, I'm being followed, I'm being harassed, I'm being gang stalked, ever since I started dealing with him, ever since I started dealing with her, shit's been real creepy, real manny. And then your family says, hey, excuse me, cut your losses, exit stage left, like leave this bitch, sorry. Some family members do say it, leave this bitch alone. But anyway, leave this female alone. And, you don't. We got to talk about that. The advice that you neglect, that you ask for. Are you reaching out just to tell me that somebody's pursuing you, but you don't want me to tell you what you should do? Like, what do you want from me? Because it's my natural instinct to tell you that you are in danger and you need to leave them alone. But if you don't want to hear that, why are you calling? That's no shade. That's just real talk. Because some of you have picked up the phone only to still deal with the nigga, only to still deal with the female. Some of you have you pick up the phone and you triangulate, quadrupulate, five-tupulate, like making up words. But you engage a lot of people in your relationship only to still deal with the nigga, only to still deal with the female. And it is putting everybody else in danger, because and stressing them out and raising their anxiety, because they don't want to get the call that something has gone fucking left based on a marriage that ended and a spouse that does not want to see the ex-spouse with somebody else. If I can't have you, no one else can. What are we proving by staying as the third party? What is the point? What is the point of being a third party if you're going to be asking people for advice and you're not listening? What's the point? It is perilous to stay knowing that there is no reward. There is no touchdown. There is no treasure in being a third party in a chaotic, traumatic situation. Excuse me, a situation full of trauma. They don't want to let go. And as I mentioned before, if you pick up the phone and you complain about him, complain about her, and then you hang up the phone only to say, never mind, it's going to be almost like the eulogy is just manifesting. Because there's no pussy, there's no dick on this earth that is worth you losing your life as a third party. There's too many people in this world for you to be caught up on one person like that. And fresh off a divorce, fresh off of a separation, fresh off of anything, it just doesn't end well. I know now, and I'm just going to say this, you got to make sure that they're divorced. That separated shit, make sure that they're divorced, make sure that it's over before you go dibbling and dabbling in that situation, because it could get ugly, it could just go so many different ways. And this young man lost his life, y'all, behind the ex-husband, excuse me, I got the chills right when I said that, behind the ex-husband saying, if I can't have you, nobody can, and was stalking him. You know, women stalk the other woman. Some women stalk the other woman. Some men stalk the other man, and it does not end well. There's going to be a fight, tire slash. It's just going to be a lot of just vandalism, phone calls, just a lot of high anxiety moments, because this person does not, in their mind, you belong to them. And that is something that needs clinical help. That thought process needs to be massaged out of the membranes. That is a kink. That is a knot in the membrane. That is a defect in the cell. It's like a battery where if your battery consistently needs a jump and you take it to an AutoZone or an O'Reilly's or whatever, and you ask them to charge it to see what's wrong with the battery, and after the diagnostic, after getting your diagnostic, they tell you, okay, we charged it, but you do have a dead cell. And so eventually you're going to have to replace this battery because the car is going to die. You're going to need a jump, and it's just going to be redundant. And you have to liken that into the mind. The mind saying, hey, the brain, it's there, but the cells are dead. And so when the cells are dead, you're not able to put 1 and 1 together, 2 and 2 together, 3 and 3 together. Stuff does not link up. What you and I would never do, people would do. And it has to do with the renewing of the mind. It has to do with chemical imbalances. It has to do with demonic possession. It has to do with low vibrating energy. It has to do with childhood trauma. It has to deal with not having the Most High God and Yah in your life. Yeah, these decisions really happen where you're saying, I could never. Somebody's saying, I will. I've done it. They've done it. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Of the Laugh Line on the Sister Speak Show is available on demand now. On this episode, can you take the heat? The origin of the comedy roast. Do some jokes go too far? Plus, naturally funny, Desi Banks, and on tour again, must-see comedians. On the Laugh Line, we are covering all aspects of comedy for all shades of brown people. You will not be disappointed. This episode is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. It's time to what? Podcast and chill with the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Click the link in the bio for this episode. It's time to get lit, laugh, learn, and live. The latest episode. Welcome back. You are listening to the Suspense Files on This Is This Week's show. I had to take a water break, y'all. I had to take a water break. Whew. Meeting people online. Meeting people in the physical is an enter at your risk game. And wanting to escape a marriage after being in it for 6 months, 2 months, a year is something to talk about. Being a third wife, fourth wife, third husband, fourth husband, like the pattern of how many marriages are people having, engaging in. When family gets involved in a marriage, you're in for either a good outcome or an evil outcome. Once again, there are bloodlines that are not supposed to come together. And when parties get together that are not supposed to get together, the Most High God will raise he'll raise some noise about it. I thought he was the one. I thought she was the one. They turned out to be something different. The mask fell off. The love bombing stopped, and then the hate started. I was neglected. I was abandoned. I just wanted to have a husband. I just wanted to have a wife. I wanted to prove to my haters that I could have a husband. I wanted to prove to my haters that I could have a wife. There are so many different reasons why people think that they should get married and why they do. The lengths that people will go to stop a marriage, to stop a union, is tragic, especially when a union is supposed to come together. The lengths that people will go to stop it. I am for my brothers and sisters coming together and for it to be righteous. I am for you healing. I am for you taking your time to do the work and not rushing into a tragedy, not entering into a chaotic situation where you will end up being taken out of the marriage in a body bag because your spouse was not the one. Coming together for sex ain't gonna cut it. People say sex is 90% of the marriage. That's bullshit. Fighting against the enemy is 90% of the marriage. Standing in union, being honest, being fair. You know, when some people get married, they are in multiple situations. And when they don't leave the third parties that they're engaged in properly. So there's a lot of open doors, and some people seek closure, and sometimes the closure that they seek is the closing of the casket with you in it. No, you've got them all the way fucked up in their mind, and you're going to do something about it because you're playing with their hearts. There's a lot of selfishness that goes on. And I think these clips just showed, especially the ones in the beginning, how dangerous it is to be with somebody you do not know. I would rather be by myself and continue to heal than be a liability to somebody. And when you are not healed, you are a liability. You're not an asset. I don't care how good your dick is. I don't care how much wet. I don't care about none of that shit. How much money you got. I don't care about none of that. You're a liability if you are unhealed. You are not an asset if you are full of fuckery that you have not purged. If you are not balanced. I don't want to hear excuses of, well, nobody in my family's ever been married. Break the curse. You cannot enter into any type of marriage knowing there is a war going on inside of you. Every time you talk, bullets just fly out your mouth and soldiers' helmets and all kind of just camouflage uniforms and shit, because you just got a whole fucking war going on inside of you. The trenches fall out your mouth, helicopters and shit. Grenades fly out your mouth. Just, you're in war and you want somebody, and you say that you want to marry, you're ready to be married, and you know good and damn well that it is fucking bombs over Baghdad inside of you. Make that make wisdom. You can't do that shit. What is that? How does that benefit you? And then you want to know why shit keeps blowing up and crumbling and falling apart. Excuse me, it's the war inside of you. Everything that comes out of your mouth is just destructive. You're inside of the village, but you're killing the village. I'm just saying. And I think people think that it's not cool to heal. Some people, I don't think people, some brothers don't think it's cool to go and, get that work, but then you always want to stick your dick in somebody. Here, take my dick and all of my damage. Like, men need to get that work started. Men are really not, you're not leading the way when it comes to seeking therapy. It's like more women are getting the help. Now, I'm not saying all men are not doing it, but not enough. Not enough. Not enough. And you are thinking that you need to be with a female, a woman, and you're still a little boy on the inside. And that's no disrespect to you, but you still traumatized and you got mommy issues and you think that you need to be married. And then here comes the chaos. Do you think that right now, brothers and sisters, just ask yourself, if you're single, do you think you're ready to be married right now? Like right now. Are you healing? Are you planning a wedding? Have you considered everything? And then the fact that the Most High God causes the plans of man to take no effect. Are you trying to hurry up and get married? Are you rushing some steps? Do you know that he or she really ain't shit, but oh well? I know she ain't shit, but she got a good heart. How can she be ain't shit, but got a good heart? That doesn't even make fucking sense. She ain't shit, but she got a good heart. What the fuck? Like, what? I know he seemed a little weird, and, I know that he ain't really made the best decisions before, and, I know he knocked my eye, into my knee, but, we still gonna do this because we got kids together, and I just want my kids to, not ready. When you got to go through that whole tone where you start laying out what everybody know, but you gonna still do it anyway. I know he ain't shit. I know he ain't shit. I know he ain't shit. But I'm finna still marry him because I love him and he loved me. And I'm just gonna deal with his shit. And you be thinking you can change him or her, and then the Lord, you can't look. Don't try to make a mockery of God by trying to change, thinking you can change somebody. You don't have that power. You don't have that power. You thinking marriage is gonna save the situation. Well, I'm just trying to do the right thing. She got my kids and I know that we been having, but we gonna really nah. It doesn't sound like something that's harmonious and peaceful. It sounds like something that's forced. Look, there comes a time where you have to say, I'm not ready. And you have to be willing to protect yourself from being with just anybody, whether you're getting to know them or not. Now, this is where a lot of people play themselves, and this is just real. This is where you're going to probably say, oh, Sister Speak, I don't agree, but I really don't care. Listen, this whole test driving, the sex before marriage, and I need to know what I'm getting into, because if the sex ain't good, I can't do it. So the sex is good, but the wisdom is lacking. The sex is good, but they don't have any financial education. The sex is good, but they can't read. The sex is good, but they don't know how to clean or cook or take care of children. The sex is good, but they like to club every weekend. The sex is good, but they know how to slap the shit out of you. That is the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard from some of my people who call themselves knowing what it takes to find a man or a wife. Ooh, the sex got to be good, because if the sex is whack. What if the communication is whack? What if the way that they lure you in is whack, only to then betray you and make you lose your financial and make you become financially independent on them, only for them to just fucking play you and neglect you and abandon you and leave you in the worst way. The sex is good, but they have low self-esteem and they have no confidence. The sex is good, but they have childhood trauma and mama and daddy issues. But the sex is good, and you got to make sure that the dick is big enough or the pussy is wet enough in order to bring you two together, because that's what it's all about. You want to test drive the pussy and the dick, but you don't want to test drive the heart. You don't want to test drive the background check. You don't want to test drive the mental stability. You don't want to test drive whether or not they believe in the Most High God in Yah. You don't want to test drive whether or not they think Jesus the Christ is black, if they think Jesus is white. You don't want to test drive the matters of the heart, but you want to make sure that they got good sex. Yes. You're listening to the Sister Speak Show. I don't know what you thought you was listening to. It was only going to go, you like I said, the twists and turns of the Sister Speak Show are just that, because that is what people say. There's not a person on this earth that wants to be engaged with their lover and the loving not be good, but I just don't think that the loving would be whack, some people will say, well, I don't want to stumble upon a small penis, or I don't want to get involved with somebody who's dry or stiff or this, that, or third, or don't know how to stroke me or whatever. Do you not understand, like with intimacy, with growth, with the getting to know one another, with spiritual grounding and a solid uprising in your vibrations, and there's a lot of things that create wonderful sex that people will never experience because they wanted to test drive. And sex being this major thing, a lot of people, because that's what their end all be all is that can catapult, if it's not what they want, that can lead to the, the infidelities and the crimes. The crimes that can occur as a result of the affairs. But let's just stick to topic. That test driving, you're not test driving their spirit. You're not trying the spirit by the spirit. You're trying the vagina by the vagina. Excuse me, the vagina by the penis, and the penis by the vagina. That's what you're doing, but you don't give a fuck about nothing else. Because that good dick can be bad dick. Good dick can turn into bad dick. How so, Sister Speak? It just can. Think about it. If that's all that it was built on, if that's the only thing that was tried and proved, the Lord can take that sensation away. The Lord can make it to where he has erectile dysfunction. The Lord can make it to where, allow some things to happen to where the intimacy has been put on pause. So you can't base it on that. It's what withstands when we're not connecting. It's how we can high five each other because we both walked around the wall 7 times and on the 7th day shouted, but were quiet the other 6. That we can high five because we are, standing against the wiles of the devil. And that's what makes the passion so much better in the bed. Knowing that we are out here slanging giants, eliminating the locust, getting rid of the devourer, putting ourselves in a position to win, not allowing outsiders to infiltrate the union. That's what makes the intimacy and the penis that much better, the vagina that much better, the stroking that much better. But if you are trying to, anybody can, it can be full of pseudo passion and lust and all of that in the beginning, but that shit wears off when it's done wrong. So the reasons for getting married can't be because of that. And we are fucking up because we are skipping several steps before finding out if they can put it down. You need to find out other things. If we get into a fight, are you going to put me down to the ground? I'm just saying. You need to know these things. How are you when you get mad? Have you been married before? Asking questions. And if they don't want to answer the questions, then you need to think about these things. Why don't they want to answer? And it's not about asking in a nagging way. You have to know how to communicate. And somebody who is an open book, an honest open book, you're going to know that they real. Real recognizes real. But we've got to get our minds out of, what's popping off in the bedroom. What's popping off in the boardroom. Okay? What's popping off in the boardroom? But we are making decisions that will keep this empire, this kingdom standing and making Yah proud. So many people thought that this was forever, right? Only to have to get a divorce. There are people who have tried and tried and tried only to have to say, I can't do it anymore. There are some people who do not want to let go. There are some people who come into your life to destroy you. And we, unhealed, unlearned, undedicated to ourselves, not showing ourselves the self-respect that we deserve, not treating ourselves right, but treating us how other people have treated us, we are susceptible to an altered state of mind. A mind that is not choosing to operate in the marvelous light. The darkness with these crimes and even the darkness with these tragedies says a lot about asking the Most High God, is this what I should be doing? And making room in our plans to understand that at any point in time, the Most High God can change those plans. Is this who I'm supposed to marry? Is this where I'm supposed to get married? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Are these the people who I'm supposed to have at my wedding? Because this may be a high profile wedding in the spirit, because we are both light workers, protecting our wedding, making sure that there's top flight security, that there's top security at the venues. Being cautious, being private, being careful when you go on websites looking for love. Some of you are looking for love in all of the wrong places, and you keep fucking up and bumping your head, and you are not 1 or 2 clicks away from your husband. He ain't even on not near one of them sites that you are on, and I just have to bust your bubble. Until you do right by the Most High God, and until you do right by yourself, you will never meet who you're supposed to meet. Now, you will force yourself to meet somebody, and you can force yourself to have something that is not predestined, and the Most High God may allow it to happen. Who knows? Or you may get that grace and mercy where it's like, look, daughter, look, son, get up out of that. This ain't that. They're not the one for you. Learn the lessons. Listen. Pay attention. Don't be so quick to click. Don't be so quick to upload. Don't be so quick to meet. You need to be discreet, because this is your life that's on the line. This is you wanting to put yourself in the presence of somebody else's energy, because you, some of you, don't want to be alone, and that being alone is fucking with your head, it's fucking with your vision board, it's fucking with everything, and you are now caught in the crossroads where, do I force this or do I faith this? Do I faith it or do I force it? Do I wait or do I wonder? Do I sit still or do I scatter? Do I heal or do I harm? Do I renew or do I regress? Do I change or do I stay chaotic? You have decisions to make. Who the fuck are you is the question. And you will find yourself having so many questions and trying to heal and get yourself together that you will say, I'm not ready. That's the whole point. You got to get to the point where you say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But I'm taking the steps to be ready. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm not ready, but I'm taking the steps to be ready. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you're a liability right now, but you want to be an asset. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry, your bomb ass sex ain't gonna cut it. I don't care how good you can cook. That ain't gonna cut it. Who are you and what's going on inside of you? Who is he and what is going on inside of him? That is the question you decide. What the fuck is going on inside of their mind? What is going on inside of their mind? Who are they behind closed doors? Are they living a single life, a double life, a triple life, a quadruple life? What type of life are they living? Am I the only one or the only some? Is this nigga a killer? Is this female a killer? Questions. And if you're playing with black magic, spell work, or voodoo, then that's going to always, always come back to bite you in the ass and boomerang. I don't want to be in a marriage where you're trying to dictate my life, control me, super rule over my life, try to get in between my relationship with the Most High God and Yah, try to dominate me in a low vibrating energy, try to use the word against me in order to manipulate and exact a plan to destroy me. That's what some people do. I don't want to be in that type of marriage. I don't want to be with any man who thinks that he can come into my life and get me off course. Make me put down my assignments. Make me unlearn the confidence that the Most High God gave me. Make me rebuke my own healing, my own progression just because he's insecure, because he's traumatized and unhealed, because he vibrates low, because he's a demon or not. Whatever it is, nobody should ever come into your life and try to make you turn into a pillar of salt. I will not be in a marriage with any man who wants to be a dictator to me. That shit will not fly in any way, shape, or form. And that's what some people get trapped in. You say you want to submit in a biblical submission, and then some men take advantage of that submission. And that is fucked up. And you leave women in the marriage lifeless, empty, dazed, confused, don't know which way is up or down because of your ass, because of your fuckery, because of your games, because of your bullshit, and because of your assignment to kill. Some of you have wives and you treat your wives like shit. You harm, you hurt, you manipulate, you lie, you scheme, you cheat. You are a terror. And then you have the nerve to step outside into the world and pretend like ain't shit going on. Meanwhile, there is a fucking victim in the home. And you took all the time to pursue this woman, to get her off course. You manipulated with the love bombing. Only in a matter of months. Leave her devastated. Some of you will never be a husband. Some of you were never called to be a husband because you will never heal. You will be always damn near borderline reprobate because you don't know how to treat women. You don't know how to handle women. And out of your own mouth, some of you say, God gave me a daughter because I was treating women like shit. And the only woman that you treat good is your daughter, but you treat other women, other daughters, other men's daughters like shit. Abusing, womanizing. What is the whole point? Like, what the fuck is going on inside of your mind that you are such a terror? If I can't have you, nobody else can have you. I mean, it is horrible to enter into a relationship with an abuser. And to not even know that you're being abused because it can be covert. And before you know it, you can't even recognize yourself in the mirror. You want out, and you wish that you had never wanted in. And you kick yourself and you live in these moments of regret because you're like, how come I didn't see it? How come I didn't know? You had to go through it. You had to learn the lessons, the karmic cycle. You had to learn these things. And some of you right now are in that type of marriage right now where it is over and you know it. It hurts and you know it. It takes away. It does not increase in prosperity. It just decreases. Where no matter what you do, nothing you do is right. Not your hair, your makeup, your clothes, your speech, your food, nothing. And that he's doing that on purpose. And you're trying to find every which way to make it right, to make him smile, to fix it because you feel like you are the problem. And you may be an ingredient, but you're not the problem solely. Sometimes you can be targeted and it has nothing to do with you. And sometimes it could be because of, what you got going on inside of you that attracted this energy. Some of you brothers are holding your wives hostage, and they don't want to fuck with you no more. And you've made it to where they can't leave because you took all of their financial independence away. And they have children, some of them with you. And you're just a nightmare in the home, in the marriage. You have an altered state of mind. Here comes the crime. Worse, not better. The time has been well spent. I thank you, brothers and sisters, for being a wonderful listening audience. I want you to be very careful when it comes to marriage. When it is sent by the Most High God, when it is predestined, it is a beautiful journey. But when the enemy comes in, you may think that this is the one. But no, this is the demon. This is the demon. And you're going to listen or not. But you heard the clips tonight. We'll be right back.
No weapon formed against you shall prosper. This is Sister Speak with a word of encouragement. No matter what the enemy or enemies try to do to you, God will cause their plans to take no effect, and the pit that they dig for you, they shall fall in. If God be for you, who can be against you? Now say it with me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Be encouraged. Slingshot season. This is Sister Speak with a word of encouragement. Spiritual warfare is real, and it is slingshot season. That's right. You are prepared for this. It is time for you to defeat the bears, the lions, and the giants in your life. You are stronger than what you think, and when you are chosen, you are anointed. No longer can you operate in the spirit of fear, and no longer can your boundaries be attacked. Carnal weapons produce carnal results. Spiritual weapons produce spiritual results. Get your smooth stones and your slingshot ready, because being victorious and more than a conqueror is a part of your lineage. Because our cousin David was about that life. Your enemy's plans are deterred, decapitated, and destroyed. Be encouraged.
One thing is for certain, two things are for sure, brothers and sisters. I don't take lightly the fact that you want your marriage to last and you want to make the right decision when you get married, and that you are hoping that it is pleasing unto the sight of the Most High God. You want a realistic, actual marriage that is full of prosperity in every which way. I need you to stop trying to have the imagery of the white picket fence, the house and the dog and all that bullshit. You need to stop with that whole thing and get out of fairy tale land and get back into the village. If your heart has been broken from a previous marriage and you're listening right now, praise God that you're still alive and you need to heal. I don't want my brothers and sisters to walk around here wounded and leaking, unhealed, and putting yourself in a position to have your wounds infected to where you are damaged goods and you are not able to function and run on. This life is about lessons. It is about learning and growing so we can be prepared for what we are supposed to have and so we can handle it. And that is a person that's dealing with people, places, and things. But until you get that heart fixed and deal with the issues that make you you, you're not going to be prepared. And it is okay if it has not happened now. The one thing that is not okay is if you're just sitting unhealed, still withered, lame, completely inactive. Your heart is precious. And until you love yourself, heal, and do the work, things will never prosper in the way that you desire. And in this world, you cannot walk around trying to ignore the Most High God in Yah. Like you don't need the Most High God in Yah. You cannot go around what predestination is already set forth. You can't afford to make it in this world without the Most High God in Yah. This world is ruthless. And you need a safe space. You need a comforter. Especially when you are going to be dealing with relationships that are designed to teach you lessons. You're going to need that spiritual comfort. It's time to lay to rest your negative understanding about marriage. And it is time to lay to rest all the horrible stories that you have heard, even the ones tonight. Because the outcome is supposed to be, what can I do to do things differently than what I heard tonight to where I don't end up like that? How can I educate myself? How can I spiritually cleanse and put myself in a position to where I am less likely to be a tragedy? What can I do to change my life and be all that I can be for myself? How can I love myself better? Groom myself better? Learn about myself better? How can I put away childish things? How can I lay to rest the horrible visions from my childhood? Because if not, you will attract that energy. And you will keep running into men and women who mean you no good, who are dangerous because they are unhealed, who are dangerous because they are possessed, who don't know how to handle your heart, to love you properly, to treat you how you should be treated. Can't force them to. They have to naturally want to. Don't you want somebody to naturally... what word is naturally? I like to buy a word. Don't you want somebody to naturally want you, love you, pursue you, and it be real? Not a love bombing, not a narcissistic pursuit, but a genuine, righteous, high vibrating pursuit. I know you do. Do the work. And be careful before you say, I do. I return to sender all negative spell work. I return to sender all negative energy, spell work, voodoo, black magic, evil eye magic, death rituals. And I mirror it back into the sender and the practitioner's bosom 100-fold. It has an adverse effect into your bosom immediately. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. I'm divinely protected, and so is my listening audience. For better or for worse, richer or poor, in sickness and in health. Can you hang? Can you be loyal? Can you stand by your vow? Or do you have an altered state of mind? The devil is already defeated. You need to know that. I want my warriors to mount up. And now I'm about to say something that has nothing to do with this entire episode. I had some rotel. It was good. It's actually delicious. And now my stomach sounds like this. I'm serious. I don't know if it's the roe or the tail. I don't know if it's the roe or the tail, but I'm telling you. My tail. I don't know if that's the tomatoes, the cheese, the pesto. It's delicious, but right about now, y'all. Ooh, if it weren't for this mute button, y'all would have been like, is somebody honking or somebody knocking at the door? Anyway, y'all, peace and blessings. Be safe. I'll talk to you all later. I got another good episode for you guys, okay? I'm going to spend some time with y'all tomorrow. Don't trip. We don't celebrate any holidays here at the Sister Speak Show. But I got y'all. Okay? Not but however, I got y'all. It's the rotel. It's the rotel, y'all. It's the rotel.